There is actually one really big story that I wanted to get into because this has been something that I've talked about quite a bit on our show, and it is the standardization of dental benefit language across all platforms, meaning different states have different laws affecting dental insurance and patient coverage, and so does the federal government as well. So there is a new law that has been proposed. It's called the Improving Dental Administration Act of 2026. This was a bipartisan supported bill that came forward from the House. Why is this important? Because what it is asking is that there is a standardization for self funded plans. Now, I'm going to get in the weeds here a little bit for my dental colleagues. There are lots of states. In fact, I think the total is 37 now. It may have gone up since I last looked at the numbers. There are 37 states that have their own laws around dental insurance benefit for patients, what's covered, what's not covered, and how dentists can handle those things. For example, if a patient comes to my office and they want to get veneers, veneers are often not covered by dental insurance because it's an elective procedure. In some states, if I have a contract with an insurance company, I can only charge what's in the contract. So sometimes that might be $400 to $600 for a veneer. That doesn't really cover the lab bill, to be honest. So in most states, there's legislation that says if this is a non-covered service, it's an elective benefit, whitening being one of them, veneers, etc., then the dentist is free to charge their fee, whatever that fee is. Now, they may pass on cash discounts, incentives, whatever, but they're allowed to charge whatever would be a usual customary fee that will help cover their lab bills, their supply costs, and their time and expertise. Right. If the patient comes in with a self-funded plan, which let's see, almost half of dental enrollees and dental plans are currently covered by, then the self-funded plan would dictate that it goes by federal law, and federal law supersedes state law, which means if that person is covered by a self-funded plan, a federal plan, not through the federal, but defaults to federal laws, which states that you have to honor the contracted rate, whether it is a covered procedure or not. So what do in-network doctors do when they see this type of thing? They just stop doing that service. They stop doing veneers for $600 because they frankly cannot do it for the covered fee, because a lot of times that's not a negotiated fee anyway, because it's not a covered service. And they choose to not provide those benefits. Ortho is often one of those as well, because at the end of the day, they can't even cover their costs. This law is proposing that we get rid of all of those nuances and just go to kind of a uniform operating procedure. And I am all for it. And I really hope it does go in the favor of both patients and the dentist to get the right thing in place. Anytime we can streamline these processes, make it clear for doctors, because in fairness, they don't always know if it's a self-funded plan or not. I can call Delta Dental or Blue Cross and Blue Shield and say, hey, is this a self-funded plan? 9 times out of 10, they will not be able to disclose that to us. So we don't actually know when we're breaking the law or operating out of the bounds of the state law versus the federal law. And I think most doctors have the intention of operating within their contracts and operating within the ethical standards of their practice. They want to do the right thing, and yet they can't get the information that they need from the insurance companies to be able to give a good faith estimate to their patients. So I, for one, am very optimistic about this particular law. I want to see standardization amongst all insurance companies. I want to see them forced to operate and play all by the same rules. I want them to have standard confirmation and insurance verification protocols so that I don't have to deploy 1,700 people to be able to figure out whether or not a patient is covered and what coverage they may have. I'm begging for standardization in the dental insurance market because I would love to cut out that significant chunk of overhead that I have to pay every month, thus keeping my fees high, because I have to be able to manage all the nuances that exist out in the marketplace. And with that, that's the news.